for the procedure of inoculation and all. Okay. One second. Okay. The cooling phase is only around 20 to 30 seconds, which is quite faster in the case of continuous sterilization. Well, the disadvantage of this method is that there can be insoluble salts formed and the crusts of the first heat exchangers due to the high temperature differences between nutrient solutions and the cold incoming. So whenever you have a sudden difference between heat exchange and cooling phase, no, that's what it says. There can be sometimes insoluble salts being formed, which is only one of the disadvantages. Otherwise, it's a best methodology to follow. Starch containing solutions which are viscous when heated are difficult to use in continuous sterilization process. Okay, one thing is the advantages is we can say that there's increased productivity because we don't waste time and we save the bioreactors like life also. Okay, because it can be used for a longer period of time because they invest a lot on the bioreactor, isn't it? So it should not get worn out very soon because of temperature. Of course, minimum damage to the media ingredients and better control of quality. So all these are advantages of the continuous. Leveling of the demand for the process steam. Suitability for the automatic control. Here we can have automatic control. That's very important, which cannot be much on towards the batch fermenters. Even though we have an automatic control in batch fermenters, it's not going to help us much because of the demerits of its own. So you can see a flowchart picture here, isn't it? So here is the generator of the cooling water, okay, and here is a generator of the heating steam. So steam, this is a heat maintenance. So these are the coils through which it comes, no? And you have this only the without the bioreactors it is shown. Okay, it's a medium reservoir. Okay, this only to this is sterile medium to the fermenter. Okay, so here it's only showing you the two ends of the picture where you have the heat generating steam generators and the cooling water generators. Okay, that phase is just shown here. Of course, it's only a connective picture. Most industrial fermentations are operated under vigorous aeration. We know that aeration. So we need sterile air. So other than media sterilization, we also need sterile air, which is bubbled into the fermenter, isn't it? So that is another important thing where we need a filter procedure. So they pass the air through the PTFE filters, polytetrafluoroethane. Please make a note, polytetrafluoroethane filters. So the filters, the air is passed, and then it will prevent all the oil droplets, many things like that. It's going to be removed through the depth. They're called depth filters. Okay, those filters are very important, or PTFE filters. So the filters, air is passed, pumped, and then it enters the spargers. In the previous class, I've shown you how the spargers are involved in the bioreactors, right? These filters are designed to trap the microbes. I think here the name is there. See, polytetrafluoroethane filters, or PVC. Okay, these can be sterilized and easily changed. Okay, fermenter exhaust may also undergo dry heat sterilization because we might use industrially important microbes, etc. No, so we cannot allow them to just go into the environment. So we need to exhaust them by incineration. The air has to be passing through some incineration procedures, okay, to avoid contaminations, etc. Methods of sterilizing gases include filtration, gas injection with ozones, and radiations, and heat. Of these, filtrations and heat are more practical in the industry scale. Previously, air was sterilized by passing it over electrically heated elements. And of course, it's more high power consumptions, not required. Okay. So this is about insulation of air, sterilized air. Okay. Which says about the exhaust air filters, air heaters. Okay, so it is exhaust air filters. So you can see that there's an air heater here. Okay, so then It's cooled and then it's entering into the bioreactor. So to just briefly summarize, we can understand that the pilot plants and industrial aseptic fermentations require the fermenter to be sterilized initially. Then it is filled with the sterile medium prepared in batch or continuous process. Then alternatively, fermenter is filled with formulated medium, and the two are sterilized together in one operation. However, some industrial fermentations are not aseptic, but microbial contamination is still maintained at minimum level by pasteurization. Example, wine preparations, when you talk about, more apt that we don't go for complete sterilization, because the grapes are going to be soaked in salt water, and it removes other microorganisms, and there's no much of aseptic conditions like what we see in the other like in antibiotic industry or vaccine industry, etc. Okay. Small laboratory scale fermenters of 1.5 liters, etc., are usually filled with medium and then sterilized in a steam autoclave. That's a simple procedure which can be done when you're doing in the lab. Okay. And care must be taken to avoid any pressure build up inside the fermenter by venting without contaminating the contents. There is a risk of 0.1% of 3 to 10 cells in the medium. Okay, that is usually one of the indicators. Destruction of cells occurs during heating, 121 degrees centigrade, and cooling, 121 to the fermentation operating temperature. Therefore, overall death factor can be represented as V total, V heating plus V holding plus V cooling. Heating is what we bring it to high temperature. V holding is the temperature where we hold it before the inoculation. V cooling is temperature where it is cooling before inoculation. Thus, knowing about both V heating and V cooling for a particular fermentation process, the necessary holding time needed to achieve the required overall death factor can be calculated. Alternatively, the Richards approximation can be used, which implies only that part of the curve above 100 degrees centigrade assumes that. This, you can see this graph, which says that the limitation of the time when you talk about, so you can see that there is 121 degrees centigrade. So the temperature is 121 degrees centigrade, and time is also around the same, holding time. Okay, so at that particular period of time, you get the maximum sterilization happening. So this is called Richards approximation. Wherein you can see that, I'll just go back there. So wherein at 100 degrees centigrade, the sterilization to some extent happens. Okay, heating will occur till 90, 100 degrees centigrade, but up to 120, then cooling will happen, right? So he says that this particular difference between 100 and 120 is called as the Richards approximation for the effective sterilizations. I think I can skip this, it is already discussed. Okay, students, I think you got the concept of what is sterilization. I just told you that what is meant by sterilization, what are the temperatures and all involved. Okay, so please look into the factors. So here we talk about media constituents. Some of them may be very heat labile and destroyed by excess of heat, like glucose, vitamins and all. Okay, these heat sensitive ingredients can be going for filtration procedures. Okay, and whenever you go for a high temperature, preferably go at 140 degrees centigrade for a lesser time, like 50 seconds, because this can be only done by continuous sterilization, because that will help in preventing the damage of the nutrients like vitamins and other amino acids, etc. Okay, so the microorganisms can be maximum benefited by the process. So today's class we have learnt about what is meant by sterilization, and what are the different methods of sterilization. To give a summary, please remember, so ingredients are of natural ones. One has to think about the crude media manufacturing. In the crude media, for example, in the industry, like wherever there is antibiotic production, they need glucose, they need lactose, isn't it? So certain times lactose can be added as a synthetic one because they're not using much, but it can be an alternative with whey. Glucose can be an alternative with hydrolyzed starch. Starch can be broken down and that can be given as glucose solution. I'll be discussing a little more about it because they ask a question, some questions like this. What is starch hydrolysate? Means starch is broken down into glucose by heating and by amylase activity. And that can be used as a media for the antibiotic production to grow the penicillium or any other organism. Okay, so here it's a multiple thing one has to analyze and then decide upon which sterilization procedure to follow. Sometimes steam injecting procedure, certain ingredients require all the one needs filtration, one needs steam injecting methodology, one needs high temperature. Sometimes that is why productions are better when they go for various methods of sterilization. But an industry which doesn't can't afford for such procedures, they'll go for batch sterilization. They will try to minimize damage for the nutrients by having one or two methodologies like filtration, but ultimately it goes back into the bioreactor and by a media formulation, and it's going to be exposed to high temperature. That time the production rate will reduce. That is why batch sterilization and continuous sterilization, if you consider, batch sterilization gives you lesser recovery of the product, whereas continuous sterilization gives you a better one. There it is less in batch because metabolites are accumulated, they are not removed. There's a lot of demerits. This one is only on batch sterilization what I've discussed. You'll be having another topic called batch fermentation and continuous fermentation. Please don't get confused about this. Here I'm only discussing about batch and continuous sterilization, how to bring sterilization, how it can be cost effective. I think you got it. Okay. But in the industry, after sterilization, they have another procedure called batch fermentation and continuous fermentation. It's a different topic. I think you will be discussing about it in some other units, chapters. Okay. So here we will learn about whatever we are discussing. It's all about sterilization. Please remember, there are indicator organisms like Bacillus stearothermophilus. Like in food industry you study, they follow the D value, Z value for Clostridium spores. That also can be involved in this mechanism. Okay. So sterilization is something where you are going to make the media free from spores also. Okay. Then the effectivity of the media will be there. And we can use it. Let's say you do sterilization today and inoculation tomorrow, so that endospore should not germinate over the night period of time in the time of holding, right? So that is why we need to think about all these aspects, because it's gallons of media. It can be 10,000 gallons of media or 25,000 gallons of media, right? So a high amount of media. So it has to be sterilized and you cannot waste the media. That is why it is need to be given a lot of importance. If that is not given importance, then whatever fermentation we follow later on after inoculation becomes a waste. Okay. So I think with this aspect, I will conclude now for time, and all of you be safe at home. Okay. It's very important at this period of time. But please go through properly all the chapters, because for exams you need to prepare. So okay, all the best.